right, welcome to the latest episode of the Coleman Power Organic Fitness Podcast. This is an episode quite unique to the others because it has also been recorded live on TikTok. So if you're not following me on TikTok, where the hell have you been? It's Coleman Power Organic Fitness, just like all the other platforms. This one's a solo Q&A. We had some classic guests, and we do have, if you haven't listened to those shows, check those out just early below this one you're currently listening right now. After that, looking forward to a couple of interviews that I have with amazing people. So interesting. Health is unreal. So in today's Q&A podcast, we have some classics. So I'll have a look at the questions down the sheet of paper here 1 second. So we have tips for reducing bloating. Okay, that comes in from someone from Galway. Want to stay anonymous to give their name. It's absolutely fine. And that if you want to shout out either anonymously or specifically with your name, some people do. Low carb protein snacks. Okay, and that also is linked up with Eric's question all the way from California. There's that question. We'll be touching on that. And then coffee alternatives. That comes from Ashley, all the way from Michigan. In America. Love that state. Then we go, what do I think of fasting? And the final question we have in today's podcast is most certainly one food I would recommend regularly eating for health. Those are the questions. And that comes in from Kate, all the way from Canada. There's the final question. 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4, we have 5. High five. So straight away for the win. We will start off with, tips for reducing bloating. The first thing you need to understand is that taking out processed foods out of your diet is 100% key. That is going to reduce bloating phenomenally. When you do that, it will most certainly take away a lot of the polyalcohols and added sugar, which causes inflammation in the gut. When you have an inflamed gut, you definitely don't have an increased energy levels that we're all looking for, because the bad bacteria are in an abundance. How do you encourage the good lads? You are eating more whole foods, and that is something that comes from fruits, vegetables, and meats. If you eat them with the added advantage then of making sure you're eating complete proteins. Those complete proteins are most certainly the chicken, the fish, the turkey, the eggs, just mentioning those in the chicken and turkey, because I just had a dinner that contained an unbelievable, I would call it a turkey curry. Yep. Yes. Oh yeah. It also had mushrooms in it, and had beetroots, and had classic, most certainly, onions and garlic. But touching on those points, onions and garlic in excessive amounts can cause bloating and gas for that matter. So incorporating in ginger, which I had throughout my meals today, and that definitely does help people who have issues with bloating. So the first one we touched on is like removing processed foods. Then if you are eating excessive amounts of most certainly vegetables, from going from processed foods, literally going from 1 to 100, you need to slow down, incrementally adding greens that are easy to digest. So those are your simple, leafy salads. What's in season right now? Eat what's in season. This will come out most certainly when these greens are in abundance. Your rocket, your mansuna, your tatsoi, in on top of the finest of, one of my favorites, endive. That is high in that type of fiber called inulin, related to chicory. People like chicory, bit of a bittery taste to it. Bitter is better, if you've ever heard that before. Yes, they're green, they're high in antioxidants. Antioxidants reduce stress in the body, and they're easy to digest because they're living. They are natural, most certainly prebiotic foods. Prebiotics naturally feed your beneficial microorganisms, the good lads that you want more of. And after that, it is key for people to get them organically. Why? Because the next point touched on to reduce bloating is harsh chemicals called bloating. So the most important fruit or vegetable or food item that you are to consume organically is the point of which is the one you eat the most of. And that is definitely something that I do myself, and I recommend to anybody that I mentor or train. And I'm doing a grow your own course that's on this Saturday, fully booked up. Get on. Literally having space nearly for myself at the top of the class. But yeah, just quickly going over here too. We have Rando. Chicory is If you roast, it becomes super sweet. Make it really good tea. There we go. Adding in chicory, which is a relative to endive. And those are two things that grow very well at this moment in time. So when you're growing your own, this whole podcast is for people who just want to eat healthy. You either have more time or you have more money, or you in between and you'd still like to grow, then get yourself a packet of seeds. It costs you absolutely very little at all to gain advantage of the good stuff. If you can get it from a local farmer, you're supporting them, you're doing a different job. You're looking after somebody else, you're working in an office, you're doing whatever it is that you currently work at, 9 to 5, 9 to 9, 8 to 8, 6 to 9, whatever hours you work, Monday to Sunday, whatever, whenever. That's what I recommend. And the final one for reducing bloating, and it's a simple one, is most certainly chewing your foods. When you chew your foods, it is the first process of digestion. And if you skip a stage, you're playing catch up for the whole duration of that digestion process. And it's a huge process that goes on and starts when we start chopping the food. And if you don't chop the food, you get a meal. If you get a meal that's prepped, you are most certainly not activating your enzymes in your mouth that get you to salivate. So that is really key. And when you start chewing your food, how many times did you chew it? In a dough, a 3. That's 1, 2, 3 in Irish. And then put a 0 at the end of that, will be 30. A hen, the egg, a dough, the egg, a 3, the egg. I think that's 30 in Irish. Someone correct me on that one. A hen, dough, a 3, the egg. Okay? I'm open to correction. Even though I did, this is an inside scoop. I didn't do the Leaving Cert Irish. Okay? Why is that, you say? Because I was dyslexic. I am dyslexic by trade, if you want to call it that. But I asked, because I had to sit down in the back of the class or the front of the class, wherever the teacher wanted me located. And I most certainly paid a hell of a lot more attention just by listening, because I learned by more so listening than I do writing things down or visually when they're written on a board. So I asked, I said, Miss, can I do the likes of the oral exam for free? So it's the practice before the main exam in 6th year when I was 18. And the teacher said, of course you can, but you haven't really done much practice. And I was like, I've been listening enough. I'm pretty sure I've a good ear. And so I went down to the exam and I learned off this little spiel. This is totally sidetracked, but it's kind of a cool story. The thing is, sometimes you're much more likely to pass something when you are not forced to do it and you do it off your own will. So I didn't have to necessarily learn Irish, but I wanted to learn it because it's my national Gaelic tongue or language. It's my national language. And after that, I went down and I went, Come on, the bear is and done. Thought Coney kill be done. Thought he gimbert Pell August foosball, maybe German thrown in there too. So at Lorna Park, it's the middle of the field. And after that, say Ismail Lum, dinners, Hindra Har, one brother, one sister, and Waterford, and then said, Needless to go, don't understand, and answered one or two questions about something at a post office. And I got a D, and I passed the thing, and that was it. And that is related to the fact that we got sidetracked and are now back on the 3 things again to recap. So taking out harsh chemicals, chewing, and I definitely used to chew food as much as I do now. And that used to serve me. And I used to, in fact, be one of those individuals who used to undereat foods excessively and take big mouthfuls, not chew them, and swallow them. And used to be a blockage in my stomach as I took large mouthfuls of food. Wonder if that happened to anyone else. It's something that I used to do on a regular basis and suffer and struggle with. It's an awful, terrible pain. 30 is scary. 3 now. We have people over here talking TikTok on the left-hand side. Very funny. How many times you're supposed to chew? About 30 times is the recommended number you most certainly must chew. But it's key that you do it and practice it once or twice and see what happens. So that's the first question. Low carb protein stacks. I love these. Where do I go? If I'm looking for a low carb protein snack, I would most certainly launch into eggs. Eggs don't have any carbs. They contain complete proteins, all 9 essential amino acids. Literally can be scrambled. They can be boiled. They can be literally pan-fried in your favorite cooking oil, extra virgin olive oil, on low heat. How do you know it's on low heat? You've gas, there's literally barely take a trickle lick it. Put a cover on a plate on it. And I love that because you have the eggs runny and that is just unbelievable. For maximizing the benefits of the antioxidants that are found in the yolk. Yolk. I love the goddamn eggs. They're so simple. When you literally get them free range and organic, it's amazing. So that's the first thing. Okay, there's no carbs in them. Zero de Niro. Next thing I'd always reach towards for a low carbohydrate snack would be yogurts. Yogurts are simple. They're quick. They're easy. They're something that I pretty much have every day. Whenever I am on the road, I would always stop for a high protein yogurt. You can even bump it up because bump it up what with more protein, whether it's in a supplement or and the ones I'm currently using right now, I'll mention them out, are from the hemp farm based in Wicklow. And it's something I do actually enjoy because it has fiber in it too. But a one that's even lower carbohydrates is the Sunwire protein. And the one Sunwire protein for those listeners in America, I have a discount code. It's called Coleman, so Colman. If you want to use that, I'm just putting it out there. It's there for you guys, the listeners, to take advantage of. Take it or leave it. It's one of those things that's in my tree link at the top of my pages, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and most certainly on any other of my social media, on my website too. Um, Excellent. Snacks you can take on the road. Yes, and the last thing about the eggs is your boiling eggs, which I have done all throughout my fitness and health career lifestyle. I went from Ireland to Australia. And as soon as I went to Australia, I used to buy at the country market a 20 pack of eggs. I used to boil them good up because they were my breakfast when I got into work on a building site. They are so easy. I had three of them for breakfast. I had peanut butter, and what else was I having in the morning? I was having yogurt. That was my typical breakfast with oats all mixed in. I used to bring it in jars, and I used to bring it in an egg container. After that, I used to do a full day's work and had my lunch. But also the three eggs, I usually even take protein supplements back then. I had another three eggs. After the legs to the gym, I cracked them open and ate them in the car. I had a white Hyundai. It was called the Great White. It was an amazing car. It was a 91 cracker, and there was a dent in the side of it. I love these kind of analogy stories going up. And I popped it out. I spent nearly a couple of hours taking out this dent. The car was like, wasn't pristine or anything at all. But I just said, I'm going to get this dent out and make this car look amazing. And I did, got it out, and yeah. So that's my tip for people: eggs for the win, yogurt to the next one, and adding in a supplement if necessary. Another really good one for people that do eat dairy is will be cottage cheese. But again, I do recommend you to consume it organically. It's a handy one. There's no prepping. It's in the fridge, just like the yogurt. You can grab it, put it in a bag, or put it in the cooler, and bring it with you to work. I have a bag. God, I don't want to seem too branded out of a bag that I bring. I have had it for a period of time. It's great. It's a cooler section. You don't have to have that. But you literally just put it in your bag and bring it to work. Put it in the fridge if you're working in an office. So or working in school or wherever you are working this moment in time, or bring it on walks with you. Like put it in your pocket like a tub of cottage cheese is something that I do love, and I even put like sometimes I put tomatoes because why? They're unreal. But we'll keep it low carb, and that would definitely be something that the three things that I would recommend to people that are relatively low in carbohydrates. And definitely, if you are having those things, to most certainly have a spoon with you as well. So for those of you who know me very well, I would have a spoon on me at all times, nearly. Yes, pretty much close to all times, even traveling foreign and abroad, because you can nearly cut, you can spoon, and you can spoon out material that are liquid form, such as yogurt or juices from whatever and whenever, and that I do recommend you to have for your boiled eggs and yogurt or cottage cheese. I went for a hike at the weekend and I had last weekend and I had cottage cheese on the go. It was amazing. And the simple for me to take out of my pocket. I have a spoon in my right pocket, even have it in a specific area, just for me, I suppose. It's one of those things actually I read from a book before to definitely to keep things in the same places so you don't have to think about them. It becomes automatic. And once things become automatic, it turns into a habit. Once it's a habit, it turns into a ritual. So it's really only small things. And now that I'm kind of talking on this podcast, I really feel like these are the things that really bring you from the 90 to the 95% of routine and habitual habits. Okay. So just remember that point. Doing things and putting things in the same place, doing them on a consistent basis gets you to add them to your lifestyle. When you add it to your lifestyle, it becomes a habit. When it becomes a habit, it's then something you do habitually on a regular basis. Okay. That's a tip That's different to that topic. So getting straight on into coffee alternatives. Okay, this comes in from Ashley all the way from Michigan. So for the win, it is something that I do not drink an excessive amount or very little at all because it affects my adrenals. And that is one of the main issues that Ashley does come into problems with herself because coffee can be addictive and it's something that may need to be cycled in and out of the body because it is major powerful. Okay, so alternative to coffee, other warm beverages. This is ginger and this is thigh. Both high in antioxidants. And that's one way that I incorporate in the drink as we do this podcast. Because because it's most key that you drink liquids on a regular basis. And caffeine in the coffee can most certainly have negative effects on your sleep. There's no caffeine in ginger. There's no caffeine in any of the